Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have an exciting episode of Top Rope TV for you guys. So, before we get kicked off with the show, let's start with a brief, short segment.
Tonight, it was ECWA Super 8 Tournament Legacy Edition. If you weren't there, you missed out on a great show. You missed. Oh!
Wow. I wonder who that could have been. Somebody just completely blindsided Ian when he was going to do his segment on the ECWA show this past Saturday night. I wonder who could have been. I have no idea. I've never seen that person before in my life. I wonder who that person was. So, anyways, if you have any ideas on who it is, comment below. Before we get started with the rest of the show, let's take a commercial break.
Slay the day, baby.
Dragon Slayer Warrior Wear. Slay the dead.
Up next is an interview that I had the pleasure of doing with Rob Feinstein himself. So without further ado, let's get to that one. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here. I'm here with Rob Feinstein. Rob, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Cool, man. It's an honor to interview you, and I got some questions for you. So, anyways, how did you find your way as a scribe for professional wrestling?
I've been a wrestling fan all my life. Back in the 80s, I started watching wrestling in around 83. And I started up a video collection basically by getting the Wrestling Observer. At some time, maybe 4 years after I was watching the business, I learned about the Observer. And they had a reader's page back then where people were advertising videotapes from all the different territories. So I started putting my name in the hat pretty much and getting up a collection, trading tapes with different people in Memphis and Florida and Japan and all that. And pretty much just built up my collection from that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what do you think the future of professional wrestling is?
Right now, I think the future of professional wrestling is going to be great. There's a lot of young talent out there. A lot of guys that are being used all over the country now have made it to NXT, so it shows promise to the younger guys, the smaller guys that are in the business, because you don't have many giants out there like you did in the 80s. So I think if you look at all the different companies, and I don't think the territories are coming back, but there's a lot of different companies all over the states now where guys are now being able to get to the next level. They're evolving, so to speak, and getting up to NXT and getting looked at from the powers that be, which is, of course, the WWE, which is pretty much the major player right now in the United States. And, of course, we have AEW coming right down the bat next couple months. They have the big show coming up as well down in Chicago again. So,
okay. Now, what are your thoughts on AEW? Anyway?
Vegas.
Okay.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the new AEW?
I think it's going to be great. I think it gives an opportunity to guys that are not going to WWE yet, and it's a new platform for guys like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, where they don't have to, they don't have to go to WWE and make their money there. They can make money outside of WWE, and they prove that they can, and they're very smart at what they do. They know how to market themselves. So right now they have a great marketing campaign and background, and what they do on social media is amazing, how they're getting all their followers and fans. So I think they're going to be a big force to reckon with, and especially if they get a TV deal in October, which is the rumor. I think that they're definitely going to be a number 2 promotion in the States for sure.
Awesome, man. Now, how did the age of the internet that we are in affect video sales?
It affected video sales in a big way, especially over the last couple of years. You put out a DVD, put out a shoot interview, and within like 2 days it's up on YouTube or whatnot, and you take it down and it's back up there. So it really has hurt the business a lot from bootleggers, but you know, that's how I started my business, from bootlegging. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and stand here and blast anybody. But yeah, the age of social media has definitely hurt the video sales, the DVD sales of our company. Not only our company, I know everybody's suffering, but we're still here. We do things differently with video on demand now. So we're always looking for new ways to market our videotapes. So, yeah.
All right, now, who was the first shoot interview done, and how did it come to be?
Well, I think, I'm not positive who it was. It was either Sandman or New Jack. It was one of those two guys. And I got the idea from reading the Pro Wrestling Torch. Wade Keller would do interviews. And I pretty much said it would be a great concept to do this on video. So I pretty much started doing interviews. It was like around 95, 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what made you decide to start Ring of Honor?
After ECW went out of business in 2001, there was a big void in the Northeast region for professional wrestling. We were going to indie shows in New York and New Jersey, myself, Doug, and Gabe Sapolsky was working for me at the time. And I knew there was a big void left. We learned the business from Paul Heyman and traveling around with ECW for all of those years. So I figured, and I guess it was a great idea, basically, that came about, because we wanted to pretty much take the place of ECW and present wrestling as a sport once again. And we pretty much came up with the idea. I came up with it, and I talked to Gabe about it. And at first, he didn't want to do Ring of Honor. He's like, oh, you're going to lose all your money. It's a bad idea. And I said, look, if there's anybody that knows wrestling, it's us three. Let's put our minds together, and let's do this. And we created the company called Ring of Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, what was it like at the ECW arena at Heatwave 95 to attack Paul Heyman?
Oh, it was great. I still watch that every day. Not every day. I'm just joking. But, not many guys are able to say they beat up Paul Heyman, even though it's a work or whatnot. But, no, it was really cool. I was honored to be in the ring with Paul Heyman, a mentor, and to be able to lay the boots to Paul and punch him a couple times in the face. I think a lot of guys want to do that today. I'm just joking. But, yeah, it was a great memory, and ECW will always be a big part of my life. But that was a fun night. And I got frog splashed by Eddie Guerrero, too. Yeah.
There you go. What was that like being frog splashed by him?
Awesome piece of cake, and he's a pro, and I love Eddie Guerrero. I loved him. He's one of the top guys, and brought him into our very first show for Ring of Honor.
Okay. And may he rest in peace, by the way.
100%.
Yep. What is your favorite match of all time?
My favorite match of all time would probably be Wrestle War 89 with Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. Nice. It was a perfect match. The story was there, and perfect finish. It was great. Yeah.
Now, what was your favorite era in wrestling history?
80s, hands down. Wrestling will never be the same. I watch it today, and I have this discussion all the time with Tommy Dreamer and other people that are in my little circle. There will never be another era like the 80s when you had all the territories, and when wrestling was presented as a sport, and there was kayfabe. And today you watch the business, and it's totally different from what it was back in the 80s, which is, it's not a bad thing, but wrestling was better in the 80s. It was real.
Okay.
Wink, wink.
Now, what would you say is the biggest difference in the business now than it was back in the 80s?
Oh, the guys that are smaller are getting a chance. We covered that a little bit. The lack of kayfabe in the business today, I've always said, is like, I don't like it, but I see where it is, and it's, there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, the business is totally different from the 80s. It's good and bad, and business is thriving right now, so you really can't complain.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it. Now, thanks for doing this interview, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for the time. That was an honor and a privilege for me to have the opportunity to interview Rob Feinstein. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for allowing me to pick your brain. But up next is an interview that I did with Kekoa Manu. So without further ado, let's get right to that interview. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Kekoa.
Aloha.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic.
Okay, now could you introduce your group of people?
Yeah, so this is, for those of you who don't know, we just opened up our wrestling school. It's called Work Rate Entertainment Wrestling Academy. We're located in Mount Pocono. So I'm here with some of my trainees today. We have Brian, we have Donnie, we have Tiffany, and my wife Samantha, who's Sammy Pandora. For those that you don't know, she's been wrestling for about 6 years now.
Okay, awesome. Now, how did you get your start in the wrestling business?
So I started, there was a guy named Carson, Bud Carson, excuse me, and he had a memorabilia shop. Okay. And what happened was he basically just wanted to start a wrestling school. And I was already going to Carson's to kind of, just check out his merchandise. And he had a ring in the back, so I would go and play in it sometimes. And once I was a senior in high school, he asked if I wanted to sign up with wrestling school. And I said, absolutely, and here I am. Now,
what's your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite, because I like all of them for different reasons. Like I like the Attitude Era because obviously it was groundbreaking. It was something that was very raw. But I also like the old school with Dusty Rhodes, Steamboat, and all them because they were laying the groundwork for everything. And what they were doing at that time period was something that was so amazing to talk about. The fact that they were selling out every single night and they were wrestling how many matches a year. I mean, so different. Every era has its own special reason of why that era is great.
Okay. Now, do you have any influences for wanting to get into the business?
When I was growing up, it was definitely Shawn Michaels. I was a big Shawn Michaels fan, and then I actually found out that him and I have the same birthday. Wow. So once I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, he's my favorite wrestler. And then once I started getting trained and I started learning the history of the business and everything, definitely Ric Flair, Steamboat was big two influences, Dusty Rhodes as well. Especially since a lot of people were like, yeah, you really look like Steamboat. So then I started studying a lot of his tapes and seeing how he moves in the ring and how he does certain moves, and just trying to do my best to kind of carry on what he laid the groundwork for.
Now, what are some of your highlights of your career?
It's tough because there's definitely things on paper that I can always talk about. Being in the top 500 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated is always a great honor. Winning heavyweight championships for different companies is always nice. I've gotten to tour overseas. I've gotten to do a lot of work with WWE. So different things are always special to me for certain reasons. Even just doing big storyline matches with some of my friends that I grew up with. Like my buddy Chad, like him and I have known each other since we were little kids, and we were able to wrestle in a building that we went to as kids to go watch wrestling. So it's like that was something that's really special to me. So even though some things might not be always on paper that you see of, those are some things that I'm really passionate about and some things that I always hold dear.
Okay. All right. Now, what shows with WWE did you do?
I was on Raw. I've been on Raw, SmackDown, Superstars. I've gotten to do some matches. I've also gotten to do some backstage skits and in-ring stuff. So it really depends on what they need for the day.
Now, what was that like being backstage at WWE?
The first time that I got called to WWE, and you're just kind of backstage and you're seeing the huge team that they have, like putting everything together, whether between the ring and the entranceway and all the millions and millions of feet of cord that is going everywhere. Just seeing everything get put together and how much of an army they have was really, kind of breathtaking almost, and kind of like, holy crap, like this is really a well-oiled machine here. Like everybody knows their job, everybody comes here and does it. And but just being able to be at the place that you grow up watching, and that's what your goals and your aspirations are, it just makes you so much more hungry because you're right there and you can almost taste it.
Awesome, man. Now, do you have anything else you'd like to plug at all, or?
Everybody can always follow me on social media. It's at Kekoa Pro. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can obviously find Work Rate Entertainment on Facebook, and you can also find our wrestling school. Like I said, it's at Work Rate Wrestling Academy. So definitely check us out. And if you're interested in becoming a professional wrestler, manager, any type of career that you're looking for in wrestling, I always say this all the time. I've had a lot of near-death experiences in my life, and there's a lot of moments that I've had in my life where you actually don't think that there is a tomorrow, and I don't think of any reason whatsoever that somebody sits at home and says, you know what, I've always wanted to be a pro wrestler, I've always wanted to be in the wrestling business, and then not take that chance on your dream. Mm-hmm. You have one life, you have to take 100% advantage of it. So if this is something that you want to do, get off the couch and go do it.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks for the interview, man.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome, cool. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview, and it was an honor and a privilege to get to work with them on our ring crew at the ECWA show and get to learn about the business more and more as I keep going on. And anyways, those guys have a good school going on up in Mount Pocono, so if you guys want to get trained to wrestle, you should just definitely hit them up and check them out. They have a good school and a lot of reputable trainers that know what they're doing, and if you want to get trained in the business, check them out. I'm also going to drop another flyer for another school in New Jersey for you to check out as well, in case you want to get trained. But up next is an interview that I did with Samoan Dynasty member Lance Anoa'i. So without further ado, let's get right to that. Yo, this is Alan Fenstermaker here with Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Lance Anoa'i. How you doing, Lance?
I'm doing wonderful. Tired after this Super 8, man.
Awesome, man. How does it feel to be the winner?
Oh, it feels awesome. Like I said before, man, I've been doing this 10 years, and I always heard about the Super 8 tournament. That's always been a dream of mine. And to come here and be in my first one and also win it, it feels awesome.
That's awesome, man. Now, do you have any inspirations growing up to become a pro wrestler?
Yes, just following my family, man. I grew up traveling with my dad. My dad used to roll me around on his suitcase when he traveled to Raw, SmackDown, or not even SmackDown because there was no SmackDown, but just all the pay-per-views. He'd just bring me on his suitcase, and ever since then, I knew it was something I wanted to do, but I honestly never wanted to do it. I always was a baseball player.
Okay.
But after high school, I got the itch, and then I just wanted to do it, and then ever since then, I've been grinding and just doing what I can to make my family proud.
Awesome, man. Now, you said you played baseball before, too. Now, is there any kind of training that you do similar? How would you compare baseball to pro wrestling, the training?
Man, training is completely different. To train to be a wrestler, man, you got to expect to get hit by a car every single time you hit that mat, because they say your first time taking a bump feels like you're getting hit by a car that's going 35 miles an hour, and your body's just not made for it. Baseball, it's a whole different story, just conditioning-wise. So.
Okay. Now, what was your favorite era or time period in pro wrestling history?
It has to be the Attitude Era, just because how much different things were. It was more. It was entertaining, but it was also aggressive. There was always these savages. There's all these different characters. It wasn't a spot fest. It was just everyone had their own persona. Third generation. My father is Head Shrinker Samu, and my grandfather is Alpha, the Wild Samoan. My cousins are the Usos, Roman Reigns. The Rock is my second cousin. Umaga, Yokozuna, it's just my whole family. And there's even younger guys. There's my cousin who's still independent, who's killing it, Jacob Fatu, which is Tonga Kid's son. And then Sefa, he's Rikishi and the Usos' younger brother. So we're just going, grinding, and keeping the family lineage going. Okay.
Now, what are some of the highlights of your career?
One of my favorite highlights was, I forget what year, but it was in March. It might have been 2016. I brought my grandfather out of retirement, and it was me, my father, my grandfather, and my uncles, Manu and L.A. Smooth. We did a 10-man tag, so that was a privilege. 3 generations in one ring. So that was always one of my biggest accomplishments in professional wrestling. Outside of that, being able to tag with my father up and down the East Coast, especially with the Head Shrinkers, and being on WWE a few times, and I also have a WWE tryout coming up for the 3rd time. So hopefully it goes. They say 3rd time's the charm, so let's find out.
Now, what was it like in the WWE when you had your experience there?
Man, WWE is being there. It's like home. Every time I go on the road with them, just doing extra work or tryout, it feels like that's where I'm supposed to be. So I'm not gonna stop trying. If I don't make it, I don't make it. But I'm still gonna grind and perform in front of everyone, all up and down the East Coast, West Coast, all over the world, because it's something I love to do. But WWE, man, that's just one place I would love to be.
Awesome, man. Now, thanks again for doing this interview, and good luck to you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance, for agreeing to do this interview for Top Rope TV. And I wish you the best of luck, and congratulations again on winning the ECWA Super 8 tournament. That's quite an accomplishment. And thanks again, and thanks to ECWA for allowing us to come and do what we do, and just for being a part of it, because the wrestling business is all about a brotherhood and respect for one another, and just having a respect for the business. And every opportunity that I have to do anything in the business, whether it's set up the ring crew, or anything, it's all a learning experience, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to do it. And anyways, without further ado, let's get to our next interview. It's our own Marvelous Mike Dalton.
This is Marvelous Mike Dalton at the ECWA Super 8 tournament, and with me tonight I got the son of legendary wrestler Gerald Brisco. Ladies and gentlemen, Wes Brisco. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Man, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's an honor. I just wanted to know what your thoughts on the tournament tonight.
Man, I thought the tournament went really well. I loved the support from everyone from Philly. The tournament turned out really well, and everyone went out there and busted their ass and gave it 110%, and that's all you can ask for the Super 8.
What are your future plans after the tournament?
Couple talks with AEW, maybe go back with WWE. There's a couple of things that are up in the air.
Wow. Any future plans for Wes Brisco?
Man, the future plans is just to keep busting my ass and hopefully keep making all my fans and everyone proud, and hopefully making my dad proud, and better off making my uncle proud, Mr. Jack Brisco. I love you, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Top Rope TV, and I'm Marvelous Mike Dalton. Thanks for tuning in.
That was an amazing interview. Mike Dalton, thank you for doing this. And Wes Brisco, thank you for agreeing to be on the show. But up next, Marvelous Mike Dalton again, this time interviewing Chubby Dudley. Chubby motherfucking Dudley, I should add. So without further ado, let's get right to that.
This is Marvelous Mike Dalton at the ECWA Super 8 tournament, and tonight I have a special guest, ECW alumni, Chubby motherfucking Dudley. Welcome.
Absolutely. Motherfucking Dudley. Say it right.
Motherfucking Dudley.
There you go.
I just want to say, what's it been like since ECW's been going? What have you been doing with yourself these days?
I've been staying away from the wrestling business until like the last 6 months. I've actually didn't watch or follow or anything to do with wrestling the last 16, 17 years. And I just started recently doing commentary for Liberty All-Star Wrestling, my old company. My old business partner, Frank Anoa'i, restarted a few years ago and asked me to come back and do commentary. So doing commentary, back in the business here and there, getting some bookings, doing some conventions and stuff, and coming out and seeing some faces, seeing some great matches here like we did tonight, Super 8. So, yeah, having good times, back in the biz. It's like, that's that old thing from The Godfather. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
So I heard you have this new radio thing going on. Could you please let the fans know what's going on with that?
Well, no, it's not new. It's going on 7 years. So I do a show called Totally Driven Radio. Google us. We're on, what are we on? Blog Talk Radio, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. We're everywhere. Totally Driven Radio. I do a live show every Thursday night from 8 to 11. We do a lot of celebrity interviews and entertainment talk and real life talk. And then I do a full music show that's called TDR Rocks, which is just completely music interviews.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from Chubby motherfucking Dudley.
Let me hear it again.
Chubby motherfucking Dudley.
There you go. Some enthusiasm, some life, some oomph, some charisma.
I think he just went extreme on my ass. And by the way, this is Marvelous Mike Dalton. Thanks for tuning in to Top Rope TV.
Chubby motherfucking Dudley. Wow, that was a great interview. Thank you, Marvelous Mike. You do equal ratings. And thanks again, Chubby Dudley. You rock. Okay, folks, our main event match of the night was the Top Rope Wrestling match with Bryan Hayden defending his Top Rope Wrestling Television Championship belt against East LA. And that was an exciting matchup, and it just took place this past Saturday. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I was on commentary, so without further ado, let's get right to that match. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is for the Top Rope Wrestling TV Championship. Bryan Hayden versus East LA Jr. And we got Ken Stryker as the referee, donning the stripes. This looks like it's going to be one hell of a match. This is the referee, Ken Stryker, handing over the belt. Okay. This is starting things off here. Collar elbow tie up. Oh! Okay. Into the ropes. Wow, that was... Wow! Oh! Clothesline! By East LA. East LA celebrating. Getting pumped up for the fans of Top Rope Wrestling here. Doing a backflip in the ring. Bryan Hayden outside the ring. Wonder what he's going to do next. Taking his time getting back in the ring. Going back through the ropes. Squaring it off. Oh, poke to the eye by Bryan Hayden. Bryan Hayden taking control of the match. Boom, elbow to the back. Boom, another elbow to the back.
Come on, Junior.
Bryan Hayden using the ropes to his advantage. Ken Striker trying to break it up. Let go of it. Now he's back at it. Ken Striker doing his job as a referee, trying to break it up. Oh! East LA falls back into the ring. Bryan Hayden goes for the cover. 1, 2. Oh, kick out.
That's good. I'm glad.
What's Bryan Hayden going to do? Oh, going for a suplex. Boom! Suplex by Bryan Hayden on East LA. Bryan Hayden kicking him. Kick to the midsection. Trying to choke him out. Ken Striker trying to break it up, doing his job.
I will disqualify you. You won't disqualify me. You like him.
Going for he's trying to choke him out. Ken Striker trying to break that up.
I am watching. How else am I going to choke him? I will throw this out. Goodness gracious, you're playing too much. Come on, please, no. Hey, you want to start in?
What's he gonna do next, folks? Boom! Punched by Bryan Hayden. East LA off the ropes. Clothesline by Bryan Hayden. Going for a pinfall. 1, 2. Kick out. That was close, folks. Bryan Hayden's wondering, man, what do I got to do to put him away? Ooh! East LA chops to the stomach, hits to the stomach. East LA is still alive. He's still alive. Got him into the corner. Ooh! Irish whip. Ooh! Boom! Bulldog. We're down for a pinfall. 1, 2. Oh. Man, East LA's thinking, what do I got to do to put him away?
Go ready!
East LA up to the top rope. What's he gonna do? High risk maneuver. Boom! Leg drop. This gotta be it. 1, 2.
Come on, man! Let's go!
Bryan Hayden's still alive. He kicks out. East LA trying to get pumped up. Hit to the back. Irish whip.
Let's go!
Clothesline. All right, getting pumped up for the fans. Oh! Gonna go for a pinfall. 1, 2. Oh, kick out.
Let's go!
Chop to the back. Into the corner. What's he gonna do? Oh! Boom! Rolling Thunder. Going for a pinfall. 1, 2. Oh! Kick out by Bryan Hayden.
Please, Brad. Come on, man. I need that belt.
Ooh, hit to the back. Kick
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay, what's he still like doing now? He's gonna do an Irish whip. Reversal by Bryan Hayden. Double clothesline. Took them both out of action. Ken Stryker, what's he going for the 10 count?
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7.
Back up. Bryan Hayden hits him still in the back. Gets him in the corner. Gets him across the ring to the other corner. Bryan Hayden splash into East LA. Bryan Hayden takes him down. Another cover. 1, 2.
3,
Man, Bryan Hayden's upset now. He's wondering what he's got to do to put this guy away. Arguing with the referee never gets you anywhere.
Get him off the rope.
Bryan Hayden taking control. Gets him up. Boom! Knocks him out. This gotta be it.
2.
1, 2. What? He kicked out after that? What does Bryan Hayden have to do to put him away and retain his strap? Bryan Hayden looks like he's got a headlock in place. East LA, is he gonna tap? Oh, he's going for the ropes. Is he gonna make it? He makes it to the rope. Bryan Hayden's got to let go of it.
3 minutes.
He's getting there. He's going up. Gets a foot on the rope. Bryan Hayden's got to break it up. Bryan Hayden going to apply that again. Is East LA going to tap out? Is he going to tap? This isn't looking really good for East LA. Oh, pinfall! 1. Kicks out. Out of desperation. Oh, Bryan Hayden takes advantage again. Going to the corner. Head into the turnbuckle. Bryan Hayden, Irish whip.
2 minutes.
Splash by Bryan Hayden. Elbow into the chest.
1, 2.
Going for pinfall. 1, 2. Oh, that was close.
Get number 2. No, he's not. Yes, he is. It's 3.
East LA looked like he's on Green Street going to the ropes. Bryan Hayden, what's he gonna do, folks? Oh, Irish whip! Going for a clothesline. Ooh! Reversal by East LA.
1, 2.
Going for a pinfall. 1, 2. Oh. Kick out, East LA. What the? He's like, what the hell's going on here?
1 minute.
Oh.
1 minute.
Reversal by Bryan Hayden. Bryan Hayden's like, that's it. I got this.
You're done, kid.
He's gonna finish him, is he? He's gonna finish him off. East LA fighting back.
1, 2. Thank you. I needed this. I needed this. I needed this. No. What? Brad.
Bryan Hayden retains the strap. Is still your Top Rope Wrestling TV champion. What a match, folks. East LA will probably get his match again someday. It was a great match. Thank you guys for tuning in.
belongs
This
to
is
me.
Alan Fenstermaker.
And I promise to God, when
Until
I see
next
you again,
time,
I'm
peace
coming
out.
for that title, Bryan.
Hey, what's up, man? Johnny Logan, Top Rope Network. I'm standing here with
the Freebird
DC Lori. That's right. We're here to talk about April 27th, Crossroads Wrestling, South Philly Fury versus some tag team called the Monster Asylum.
Monster Asylum.
Their tag team titles are on the line. You guys know that I like to get to the bottom of things, and I asked DC to meet me somewhere. Obviously, we're
literally
somewhere.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we're in the middle of somewhere but nowhere, and I don't... in front of some freezer box that I don't know, but...
The reason why I did that, Johnny, jabbering Johnny, if you will, is because we're known as South Philly Fury. We're known as Street Fighters. But the Monster Asylum have been the continuous reigning defending champions at Crossroads Wrestling for the last 4 shows. So they're the longest reigning tag team titles, okay? They're called Monster Asylum because they're from Monster Island. We are Street Fighters. We're shoot fighters, okay? So just like when Rocky went to the Russian woods in order to get ready for whatever that tall guy, blonde guy's name was, okay? We needed to go somewhere other than what we're used to. But they made a very crucial mistake because when they called us out, they allowed for Freebird rules. Why don't you ask me what Freebird rules means, Johnny?
Okay, DC, I'll ask you what it means. I know what it means, but for you people out in the Top Rope land, you guys don't know what it means, so now you're going to get the scoop. DC, Freebird rules, what are they?
Freebird rules literally means that I can take anyone from the South Philly Fury faction. Anyone from the Fury universe. You like that?
Yeah, the universe.
Yes. And have those 2 people defend or challenge for those titles. Anyone. Anyone like the gentleman off to my left. Or the gentleman off to my right.
Now, where we're at, I can't really see anybody because it's dark over here.
Well,
it's dark
I understand.
Over there.
I understand.
And you
But
got me,
see,
as Dusty Rhodes would say, in the Bull of the Woods, in
Right.
front of a freezer box. I don't even know what you got in there. I don't want to know.
well, then you probably don't want to know that somebody's coming up from behind you.
All right, look. But here's the thing. I know who he is.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to him.
It's a long story.
Okay, I don't want to know. I do know, just like myself, he is a member of the South Philly Fury faction.
That's great.
I have been for, I don't know, whatever time I've been in this business. But
According to the book of
You-
Spell, you have been in the South Philly Fury for since Genesis itself.
yes, you, I don't know what happened. I don't want to know. Your eyes are cockeyed. You wind up getting the yarmulke spotlight because we all got the Hulk Hogan syndrome. Now, I don't know who else you have in mind because you got one guy. One guy. This is a tag team match.
We have one guy who showed up so far. Why don't you look to the other side of the
I know. Look, I know him. I know him. I definitely know him. So, the thing is for me, you got South Philly Fury rules, and like you said, now are these going to be the 2 guys that are going to go for the tag titles, knowing the rules?
Maybe.
Knowing the rules.
Maybe.
Or it looks like me and Mike has the answer.
What you don't know is that it could be anybody from South Philly Fury. Myself, since DC kind of called me and let me know about this match on the 27th, you see, I did a little training myself, Mr. Logan. You see, I went down to Eastern State Penitentiary looking for some monsters so I could smack them around. I'm not scared of monsters. Monsters bleed too. And on the 27th, we're going to make sure that 3 big old monsters have one hell of a nightmare.
Me and Mike, we've known each other a long time. Now you're saying 3. 2 of you.
I like our odds.
There's him. But you said, DC, you said South Philly Fury rules, correct?
When I said 3, Mr. Logan, I meant the 3.
Right. But I'm saying I know there's 3 of them.
I'm so sorry.
I know there's 3 of them. There's 2 of you. But there's more members and stuff. Now, DC, I said Freebird rules.
Yep.
Although I'm not in the ring, I'm still a member of South Philly Fury. I could.
Well, you know, Jabbering Johnny, you actually could be the extra guy. Because we know they're going to cheat. They cheat? Yes, they cheat.
You have other members. You got like JC Logan,
JC Logan,
the Bullfather. Now, there's other factions within South Philly Fury.
Yep.
We all know, and they're all members of South Philly Fury, but you guys are taking on these so-called monsters. You have a Slender Man?
No. That's the monsters. They're not on our side.
But I'm saying over there.
The
You have
Slender
a
Man,
Slender
the
Man.
monsters,
You have
Dr. K.
Now,
Because I know you're going to call him Special K, but that's a cereal. That's 2 different things. We'll have
The bottom line is April 27th.
Saturday, April 27th. Sacred Heart Gym. Well, Sacred Heart Church.
In the gym.
River City Gym.
Doors open at 6:30, shows at 7. These guys.
We go monster hunting.
Call him Special K, but that's a cereal. That's 2 different things. We'll have
The bottom.
Dr. K.
Now,
because I know you're going to call him Special K, but that's a cereal. That's 2 different things. We'll have
the bottom line is April 27th.
Saturday, April 27th. Sacred Heart Gym. Well, Sacred Heart Church. April 27th. Sacred Heart Gym. Well, Sacred Heart Church.
In the gym.
River City Gym.
Doors open at 6:30, shows at 7. These guys.
We go monster hunting.
Yeah, they do. They go monster hunting. I'm nervous standing there. I haven't seen him like this in a long time, and I have not seen him like this at all.
You know, it's actually kind of scary when I'm the calm one.
It's very good for us.
Right now, you guys have no
Very
idea
bad
Top Rope Land.
for you.
It's true. I'm sitting here with him, and he's standing here like the calm, mad scientist. I'm in the middle of nowhere with all 3 of these guys. I am leaving.
No. I'm not mad.
I'm going to go home. There's a lot of things we have to do. We're inside. I don't know, somewhere. Look, there's...
Can we just give a quick message to Monster
Yeah,
Asylum? Is that okay?
A quick message to the Monster Asylum.
You may be the champions, but you're the one who called. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're the one who called us out. Now, you told us at the last show that you're sick and tired of hearing our name. Well, what's going to happen is you're going to get sick and tired of these 2 men and the rest of my faction beating you down 1, 2, 3. South Philly Fury, Saturday, April 27th. Be there.
Hey, I gotta get out of here, so until that date, you guys keep your wrestling in a headlock.
Asylum will come.
Okay, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks again for tuning in for this week's Top Rope TV. Now keep tuning in because we got some awesome things coming with things with Top Rope Wrestling and the rest of the Top Rope Network. And just keep tuning in. Make sure you hit the bell, hit the subscribe button. Keep tuning in each and every week for more Top Rope TV. And I got some pictures from the show that we did at ECWA, so I'm going to put them up next, along with some flyers for upcoming shows. So, without further ado, until next time, keep your wrestling in a headlock. This is Alan Fenstermaker signing off on Top Rope TV. Peace.